Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us for our main news at 19:30 on Camnet TV. To present it, my name is Makokwa Kozi. First, we take a look at the stories making the headlines. Former PF boss pleads not guilty to being in possession of proceeds of crime. Public Health Institute in control of reported COVID cases in Zambia. The Examinations Council of Zambia warns pupils against exam malpractices. And in international news, Cameroon's main opposition leader, John Frundi, dies aged 81. And in sports news, a Football Association of Zambia's move to run the Super League independently held. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. And now the main news in detail. Former Patriotic Front PF Secretary General Davis Mwila has pleaded not guilty for being in possession of 102,600,000 kwacha. Mr. Mwila, 58, has been jointly charged with a 43-year-old lawyer, Anna Mwitwa. Meanwhile, Ms. Mwitwa has also pleaded not guilty for failing to report suspicious transactions in relation to the same amount. Details in the following reports.
Former Patriotic Front Secretary General Davis Mwila has joined the queue of those facing corruption-related charges before the court of law. Mr. Mwila appeared before Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili Tuesday alongside his co-accused Annie Mwitwa, a Lusaka lawyer. In the first count, the former Patriotic Front Secretary General is jointly charged with Anna Mwitwa on allegation of possessing over 1 million kwacha, a property deemed to be proceeds of crime. While in the second count, Anna Mwitwa, the Lusaka lawyer, is facing a charge of failure to report suspicious transaction, contrary to Section 45 of the Financial Intelligence Act No. 6 of 2010. The duo is accused of committing the offense between the 1st of January and the 31st of August 2021. They have since pleaded not guilty to the allegations leveled against them. However, after this matter was adjourned, Mr. Mwila and his co-accused had a difficult time coming out of the courtroom in fear of cameras. The duo is expected to appear before court on June 30, 2023 for their commencement of trial. They are all on police bond. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A Patriotic Front cadre who allegedly stole 2 television sets at the residence of former Republican President Edgar Lungu last year has been found with a case to answer. 30-year-old Angel Chipansha is standing charged with 1 count of burglary and theft contrary to Section 301 of the laws of Zambia. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has found that the state has established a prima facie case to warrant the accused to be placed on his defense.
After hearing state witnesses' testimony for close to 10 months, the Lusaka Magistrate Court has given Angel Chipasha, the man who is accused of stealing 2 television sets from the residence of former President Edgar Lungu, an opportunity to clear his name. Magistrate Crispin Hambungani has found Chipasha with a case to answer. The court's ruling comes after the state closed its case against the accused person. Delivering ruling Tuesday morning on case or no case to answer, Magistrate Hapungani has ruled that the state has established a prima facie to warrant the court to place the accused on his defense. 30-year-old Chipashai businessman stands charged with 1 count of burglary and theft contrary to Section 301 and 272 of the Penal Code, an allegation which he has denied before court. According to court record, the accused is alleged to have in August 2022 broke and entered into the house of the former head of state and stole 2 Samsung television sets valued at 66,000 kwacha. He was allegedly seen through a CCTV footage. In a statement released by the police, Chipasha, who is believed to be an opposition Patriotic Front cadre, was linked to the theft on the 13th of August 2022 following an investigation that was launched. Police investigation also revealed that he shifted to a new place after stealing a 2 TV set. Other information was that the accused used to frequent the residence of the former head of state. After arresting him, the police had managed to recover 1 television set. Chipasha is expected to open his defense on the 17th of July 2023 to give the court his side of the story. Miriam Kaemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government has urged the Constitutional Court to dismiss Patriotic for Economic Progress PEP leader Sean Tembo's petition, which is seeking a declaration to compel the president to shift to State House. Submitting on behalf of the State Ministry of Infrastructure Permanent Secretary Albert Manama states that there is no law which prescribes where the country's president must be accommodated. Mr. Manama argues that the move by the former president to live at State House was only a matter of practice and custom. The permanent secretary has further submitted that Mr. Tembo has failed to cite a law which the president has breached for failing to move to Nkwazi House. He says Mr. Tembo is not entitled to any of the remedies he sought because his petition has no merit. This is in a matter where Mr. Sean Tembo has petitioned the Constitutional Court in order to compel President Hakainde Hichilema to move to Nkwazi House in State House, which is the officially designated residence for the head of state. He claims that failure by the president to move has resulted in unnecessary wastage of resources as well as public safety hazards. The Chongwe Municipal Council says it will, going forward, start publishing names of couples that wish to marry at the Civic Center so as to curb increasing incidences of fake marriages representations at local authorities. Chongwe Council Assistant Public Relations Manager Cecilia Msonda says the local authority will not allow individuals with malicious intentions to belittle the mandate of the local authority to conduct marriages. Ms. Musonda has since disclosed that the local authority will only approve marriage ceremonies at the Civic Center with a notice of 21 days and subsequent publication of the individuals who wish to marry.
First start here at the local authorities before they proceed to any the various steps that they have planned. And so for further details, you can visit the Office of the Registrar of Marriages here at Civic Center. The public is further advised that all wedding proceedings must first start here at the local authority to be held outside the Civic Center, that is 1,000, and express marriages less than 14 days notice, that is 2,300 for Zambians and 3,600 for non-Zambians. Fees and charges for customary marriages, that is 300 kwacha, and penalty fee for cancellation is 110.
The Anti-Political Violence Association of Zambia has urged Zambia Police Service to act on the cases of political violence which they say have continued despite calls from President Hakainde Hichilema to end the vice. Speaking to Camnet News, Organization Secretary General Davis Zulu says the latest case in Matero constituency, where the secretary of the Lusaka Tigers Football Club, Geoffrey Nyanoka, was allegedly assaulted by some alleged United Party for National Development UPND cadres, makes sad hearing. This is after Mr. Zulu refused to print extra membership cards which the alleged cadres wanted in order to vote for their candidate who was standing for chairmanship of the club. Here's a report.
This is Geoffrey Nyanoka, secretary of the Lusaka Tigers Football Club in Lusaka's Matero constituency, who says he is a victim of an assault from political party cadres in an incident that occurred Saturday morning. Mr. Nyanoka explains that the club was electing a chairperson, but that only members of the club are allowed to vote. He explains that a named candidate of the chairmanship kept demanding to buy membership cards from him to give to his supporters in a bid to win, but was infuriated after the cards ran out, which led to him being assaulted, as the candidate came with alleged political party cadres demanding that the secretary order for the printing of more cards. Mr. Nyanoka says he has suffered internal injuries according to a medical report, which include the damage of soft tissue, neck pain, back pain, and general body pains owing to the assault.
And to start with, I think the main focus that brought the focus is the issue of membership. Within our constitution, the voting courage of the chairmanship or the person who is qualified to vote, our constitution is quite old and quite, I think for lack of a better term, I would say quite loose, because it only states to say only a member can vote. And it does not state at what time should the member be a member, even 24 hours, even 2 hours or 2 minutes for the AGM, someone can vote. So the time that we reach where the vehicle, when they discover that actually my vehicle was not within the premises of the stadium, that's when now it was like agitating. I think they started hitting from left, right, and center. When I realized that, I think at that point, I knew I'm going to lose the variables, because definitely they were going to touch my pockets. I got my 2 phones, gave them to my nephew, got my wallet, gave it to my nephew, was aside, and they did whatever they thought was right at that particular time. I would be put from this side, the others who felt like giving me slaps, I think they did as they pleased.
The Anti-Political Violence Association of Zambia, APVAZ, through its Secretary General Davis Zulu, has commented on the matter.
And we're also appealing to the Zambia police, particularly the Matero police officers, the officer in charge and your team, to help with the investigations so that whoever was involved in this act of violence to be caged. Because this is a criminal act which happened. You can't attack somebody while he's doing his or her own job. So we appeal to the police to do the thorough investigation, and whoever was involved, whoever will be found guilty, to be arrested and charged.
Meanwhile, United Party for National Development UPND spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa says the cadres do not belong to the UPND.
So we as UPND would like to disassociate ourselves completely from those alleged unfortunate incidents. We don't have unruly and violence. We don't have. If people are going to run amok because of instigation by someone, let it not be attributable to the UPND. No. We don't have such cadres.
The victim has called for the perpetrators to be brought to book and be made an example of. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia National Public Health Institute, ZNPHI, has called on the citizens not to panic as cases of COVID-19 in the country resurge. Institute's Director General, Professor Roma Chilengi, says the resurgence of COVID-19 cases, which shot up to 85 cases between Saturday and Monday, should not lead to panic, but citizens adhering to the set precautionary measures. Professor Chilengi says the country is better positioned to curb any abnormal surge of the virus, explaining that the surveillance system for the country has been heightened. Here's a report.
Friday, 5th May 2023, the World Health Organization ended the global emergency status for COVID-19 more than 3 years after its original declaration. The pandemic, which has claimed more than 6.9 million people world over, has resurfaced in the country, with 84 cases being recorded on Friday, 9th June 2023, out of 1,556 tests. On Monday, 12th June 2023, 24 cases were recorded out of 1,045 tests conducted. Despite this narrative, the Zambia National Public Health Institute, through its Director General, Professor Roma Chilengi, says this is not time to panic but to adhere to the set preventive guidelines.
No cause for alarm at public level, but there is cause to be aware and to protect ourselves against possible COVID infection. Basic information really which is critical is that COVID is here. Although it's been announced as being no longer a global health threat, it doesn't mean the disease has disappeared. It just means the relative impact of the disease is reduced. In our context, that means, for example, although we saw this flaring of numbers in the past week, nobody has died from COVID. Now, that is not to say people must ignore it. We actually want people to be aware that COVID is still a threat. In fact, we want people to be very cautious, especially now that the season is changing. COVID is also a form of common cold. So when the weather changes, you expect colds to flare up.
Professor Chilengi highlights that despite the cold season having an impact on the cases of COVID-19 in the country, corrective efforts are on board to enhance its surveillance against the virus. He says the country is better positioned to curb any abnormal surge of the virus, explaining that the surveillance system for the country has been heightened and called on citizens not to relent in adhering to the COVID-19 preventive guidelines.
So what we are doing as an institute, which we've been doing all along and now we have heightened, is to make sure that people who present with symptoms to the health facilities, they are tested for COVID as well. And if they test positive, we want to get that sample so that we take it for genetic sequencing so that we can understand what variant may be causing the infection. Otherwise, we are in heightened surveillance mode so that we can count accurately the numbers.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Health Professional Council of Zambia, HPCZ, has appealed to parents to avoid exposing children to cold food, as this has the potential to spread COVID-19. In an interview with Camnet News, HPCZ Head of Public Relations, Terry Musonda, says the reported increase in the number of COVID cases can be attributed to the cold season, and the people of Zambia should not relent in adhering to the COVID-19 preventive measures. He says the country has battled with COVID-19 before and that it can still win the fight if people adhere to the said guidelines. He says schools should also start enforcing the COVID-19 preventive measures to ensure that there is no disruption of learning.
We've noticed that there are cases which have been reported to be on increase, fueled by, of course, winter, the cold season which is here. So our appeal to the general public is that let's mitigate on the number of cases so that we are not part and parcel of these statistics which are on increase, by ensuring that we take precautions. If anything, all we need is to reactivate our mindset, our approaches, which we've been applying in the past. We've been in this before, so it's not something which is new. So we want to appeal to the general public to reactivate our mindset, our approach toward COVID by taking the necessary precautions. And even when we feel like we have the symptoms, it's important that we seek medical attention as quickly as possible. And we're also alive to the fact that our children are going to school now. So to the guardians, parents, let's ensure that we avoid giving our children cold stuff, cold foods.
Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, Charles Milupi, has clarified before Parliament how the 65 million kwacha and the 57,950 United States dollars forfeited from businesswoman Faith Musonda moved from the Anti-Corruption Commission SEC to the Ministry of Finance, then later to the Ministry of Education for the payment of bursaries. Mr. Milupi says the Ministry of Finance and National Planning issued an instruction to the SEC on the 25th of February 2022 in which the SEC was instructed to transfer the consolidated funds to Control 99. He says the SEC, in line with the directive, the Commissioner transferred the said funds on the 3rd of March 2022 into the kwacha and United States dollar holding accounts. The acting minister further says the Ministry of Education applied for a supplementary provision of approximately 73 million kwacha under the budget line of university education to meet the supplementary requirement for the Ministry of Education, which was presented to the National Assembly and duly approved.
Madam Speaker, on the 6th December 2021, ACC transferred an amount of 65,333,046 kwacha from Zanaco account to ACC asset forfeiture kwacha holding account at Bank of Zambia. It came from Zanaco. On the 7th, the following day, on the 7th December 2021, ACC transferred the $57,950 from Zanaco dollar account to the ACC asset forfeiture US dollar account bank at Bank of Zambia. Because the statement I gave indicated the money coming from the forfeiture accounts held by ACC at Control 99. Now I've gone one stage before that, which is coming from there. So if you are looking for where ACC deposited this money, go to Zanaco. On the 3rd March, ACC then transferred this money, 5 million, from the ACC asset forfeiture kwacha holding account at the Bank of Zambia to the kwacha consolidated fund, that is Control 99 at the Bank of Zambia. So from, yes, because he was right in saying that it was cash that was forfeited, deposited in Zanaco. Okay. On the 3rd of March, the other amount in dollars was transferred from the Bank of Zambia ACC account to the consolidated fund. And on the 15th of March, Ministry of Education applies for supplementary provision amounting to the amount I talked about, 73 million, under the university education provision, of which, when we made that up, because we had to make up the 73, 66 came from this forfeited amount and the rest from the rest of our government accounts.
President Hakainde Hichilema says one of the major priorities of his government is to strengthen economic ties within African countries and outside the African borders. Speaking when he received diplomatic credentials from representatives of Saudi Arabia, Cuba and Eswatini, President Hichilema observed that the importance of building on existing ties and incorporating non-aligned movements of notable personnel such as First Republican President Kenneth Kaunda, former President Fidel Castro, as well as Cuba's former President Raul Castro. The head of state says Zambia remains focused and strong to maintain its principle of fairness and equal treatment as its hallmark, while continuing to seek world peace, security and stability as they stand to be a foundation for Zambia to continue pushing its economic diplomacy agenda. Meanwhile, President Hichilema says government is looking forward to hosting King Mswati III, the King of Eswatini, in the next couple of weeks.
Very delighted to have you here to serve in your capacities as their experts from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, from Cuba, from Eswatini. I'm extremely delighted that I find you presented your credentials, which are accepted well received. And if I may indicate to you, Your Excellency, Ambassador, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, that the two countries really wish to record and to continue our long-standing relationship. We want to, through you, to thank His Majesty for the wonderful relationship that we've had over the years, and the various engagements, support that we've received, the hospital under construction. Please pass the message to His Majesty that we're very, very grateful for that support. And we will walk through the path of those that came before us on our side. They are my predecessors, 6 of them. And obviously, on his part here in the family, those that will before him will continue on that path. Our focus now as the new government is economic growth, to make sure that we embed our relationship, the strength that Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom has, the assets and dominance that this country has, we put them together, we apply to multiplying resources, financial resources, human beings, people. We then can exploit these resources for mutual benefit. And we're very, very grateful that we are in this space that we are here to represent as well as this common interest.
That's not. We break for some commercials. We have more news coming up after the break.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana. Banga
Don't worry. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just read my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Examinations Council of Zambia, ECZ, has warned all those who will be sitting for their Grade 9 External and General Certificate of Examinations to desist from engaging in examination malpractices or risk having their results nullified. ECZ Public Relations Manager Nicholas Nkua says the Council does not delight in nullifying results, but that it will not hesitate to do so whenever it observes malpractices. Mr. Nkua has also warned teachers who are in the habit of engaging themselves in exam malpractices to be on the watch out and that the ECZ will get to them. He says the Council is still holding on to the results of the over 9,000 candidates who sat for the 2022 examinations, and that all those who have been affected will not participate in any examinations for 2 years. Here's a report.
As preparations for the Grade 9 External Examinations and General Certificate Examinations for 2023 have intensified, with only a month to go, about 283,458 candidates are expected to sit for the examinations. However, examinations in the past have been marred with malpractices, which has seen ECZ nullify results for over 9,000 candidates who wrote their examinations in 2022. The Examination Council of Zambia has since appealed to all those who are expected to write their examinations next month to adequately prepare and not be tempted to engage in any malpractices, as this will result in the nullification of their results.
We do not want anyone to be involved in any underhand methods, as it has been said even from the highest office of the land, that when anyone does anything that is in a way underhand, basically they are on their own. So if you involve yourself in examination malpractices and you are caught, or even if you are not caught, somehow ECZ has methods that we use to find that people were actually involved in malpractice. You will be found wanting and you are on your own once we do that.
Mr. Nkua also says some of those affected candidates have already started making their appeals to the Council, but that the Council has ways of determining malpractices and will take their appeals into consideration.
A number of appeals after the results were nullified, but of course we will need to get into the details of how many were received as appeals. But when the Council reaches a decision to nullify results, there is overwhelming evidence that candidates were actually involved in examination malpractices. Suffice to say that they have the right still to appeal, and those appeals are still being considered by the relevant committee of council.
The council has since reminded those who have plans of engaging in examination malpractices that once caught, they will be barred from participating in any examinations for a period of 2 years, while those supervisors who will be found wanting will be at the verge of losing their employment. PLEADS reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Movement for National Values and Principles has warned that instructing youths from the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, to monitor the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, implementation and other areas of governance such as health sector may give birth to acts of cadreism. In an exclusive interview, Organization Chief Executive Officer Joseph Nkunda says the recent directive given by UPND National Youth Chairperson at the recent press briefing needs to be addressed by senior party officials before chaos is created in the country. However, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda says there is nothing sinister about this move, as those mandated to government offices have to carry out the vision of the UPND as indicated in the party's manifesto, because it is the party in power. We have more in the following reports.
On Sunday, 11th June 2023, ruling United Party for National Development UPND National Chairperson Gilbert Liswaniso addressed a gathering of party youths and leaders in Lusaka with a directive for them to go across the country and monitor the implementation of development projects under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Mr. Liswaniso further directed them to monitor other areas like the health sector and ask questions when complaints like the lack of medicine arise in order to protect the party. This directive has been questioned by some stakeholders like the Movement for National Values and Principles, who through its Chief Executive Officer Joseph Kunda fear that this may give rise to cadreism.
Allowing the cadres, the political cadres from a specific political party to go out flat out and do the supervision of the CDF and other developmental projects in the country would simply usher in the rebound of the cadreism, something that is detestful, something that President Hakainde Hichilema has denounced, and we do not want to go back to the vomits of abusing the authorities of the right institutions that have the jurisdiction to run affairs in the country.
Meanwhile, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, who is currently in Kapirimposhi District monitoring CDF projects, has backed the directive, stating that it is not in bad faith.
We have sent them into government to go and work, including our president. We have deployed him. We have sponsored him from here, from the party, to go and run government. So, the manifesto that they are using to come out with these programs we are discussing comes from the manifesto we wrote as a party. So we are following whether or not our manifesto is being followed in the manner we have directed. I'm a taxpayer. As a taxpayer, the money that you are spending, that 28.3 million comes from my pocket. It comes from your pocket. So why shouldn't you get concerned about how your money is spent?
Mr. Imenda says it is the right of every citizen who is interested to monitor development projects. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambia Information and Communication Technology ZICTA Director General Cholwena Lubamba says the authority needs support in order to take the Information Communication Technology Innovation Program to the next level. He made the remarks when Airtel Networks Zambia donated 250,000 kwacha to ZICTA towards the 2023 ICT Innovation Program. And Airtel Chief Commercial Officer Hassam Bade says his company is committed to supporting ZICTA's ICT Innovation Program.
Thank you. It's good if photos come in my account. Mr. Bangladesh, we can also join in that. As Airtel, we are very honored and privileged to be going with ZICTA, this long journey of supporting innovation and investment. It's now clocking 4 years. I know the program started since 2016. And for the last 4 years, Airtel ZICTA supporting the innovation and the ideas that come on the table. So, as Airtel, we are committed to the government 3 I's: incentives, innovations, and investment. As a proof for the investment, for the few years that we are heavily investing in our network and platforms to give high quality network. And last year we get a good spectrum from ZICTA. It's more than $50 million, which I think that make a massive development to our network quality and speed.
In order for us to take this to the next level, we require partnerships and collaborations. And that's why today we are with a key industry player, Airtel Networks, who have been with us, like Brenda said, for the last 4 years, giving us support. Today, we are here to express gratitude because they have given us more money in order for us to grow innovation. What we would like to see now, and this is a challenge to the innovators, is disruption. They've been asking questions. Why do you only pick 60? I'm told this year the pool was over 500. Why only 60? Obviously, as an authority, even if it's an aspiration of ours to see this grow, we have limitations. And that's why we appeal to industry partners, developmental partners, to come to the table to help us.
College of Radiologists in Zambia President Veronica Sichizia says there is need for more people to be encouraged to venture into the radiography profession in Zambia, stating that the country currently has only 11 radiologists against a population of over 19 million. Speaking to Camnet News, Dr. Sichizia notes that those existing are in Lusaka and the Copperbelt province, hence leaving out those in rural areas. She, however, notes that Zambia will, for the first time in 2023, hold the first graduation of 4 radiologists, stating that Zambian radiologists have since time immemorial studied and graduated outside the country.
And for the first time in Zambia, we are graduating 4. Among the 4, there are 3 who belong to the government or public, if you like, and 1 was under a private institution, Lusaka Apex Medical University, and he also is will be graduating in September. But this one is special because this one was being trained for the Defense Forces. The 3 that are graduating for the public, we hope they'll add to the scarce human capital development that is there, in particular in radiology. In the field of radiology, you see that the scarcity of manpower is scarce. It's a global scarce. It's not just a rare specialty in Zambia, it's everywhere. And from time back, the government has been trying to train this cadre abroad. And when they went abroad, and after finishing, they were enticed, they were given a better salary, so they decided either to stay or to go and do work where money was kind of calling.
On that note, we take another set of commercials, but still ahead we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now in international news, South Africa's ruling party ANC announced on Monday that former Secretary General S. Magashule had been expelled from the party. Magashule faces accusations of misconduct and other breaches of party rules, while also facing charges of corruption in a criminal case. In 2021, Magashule was suspended from his position as Secretary General of the ANC after being charged with multiple counts of corruption, money laundering and fraud. The former ANC official responded by suspending the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa from his duties. In other international stories, John Fru Ndi, one of the historic opponents of Cameroon's long-time ruling president, Paul Biya, has died. Fru died late Monday evening in Yaoundé at the age of 81. Following a long illness, according to his party, the Social Democratic Front. Here is a roundup of international news.
John Fru Ndi, one of the historic opponents of Cameroon's president Paul Biya, has died. Fru Ndi died late Monday evening in Yaoundé at the age of 81 following a long illness, according to his party, the Social Democratic Front, SDF. He was the president and founder of the party, created in 1990, the main opposition represented in Cameroon's National Assembly. Born in the English-speaking region of Cameroon on July 7, 1941 in Bamenda, Fru Ndi ran against Paul Biya 3 times in the presidential elections of 1992, 2004 and 2011. In recent months, reports of his critical state of health had been circulating. He was said to have undergone surgery in a Swiss hospital, but after several months, returned to Cameroon.
The United Nations said Tuesday it was deeply concerned by developments in the human rights situation in Senegal. In a statement, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights called the use of firearms by security forces against demonstrators a dark precedent. At least 16 people were killed in unrest following the sentencing of opposition politician Ousmane Sonko.
The use of firearms by security forces during protests sets a negative precedent for Senegal. It is the primary responsibility of Senegalese authorities to preserve the country's long-held respect for democratic traditions and the rule of law by guaranteeing the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and expression.
From June 1st to 3rd, Senegal was in the grip of its worst unrest in years. As it stands, Sonko, a popular figure among young people and the underprivileged, can no longer run for president. He's called his sentencing politically motivated.
South Africa's ruling party, ANC, announced on Monday that former Secretary-General Ace Magashule had been expelled from the party. Magashule faces accusations of misconduct and other breaches of party rules, while also facing charges of corruption in a criminal case. In 2021, Magashule was suspended from his position as Secretary-General of the ANC after being charged with multiple counts of corruption, money laundering and fraud. The former ANC official responded by suspending South African President Cyril Ramaphosa from his duties. Magashule is also seen as a close ally of Ramaphosa's political rival, former President Jacob Zuma.
Eritrea has rejoined the East African Bloc, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, nearly 16 years after the politically isolated state pulled out of the body. Speaking for President Isaias Afwerki, Information Minister Yemani Meskel on Monday said Eritrea resumed its activity in IGAD and took its seat at the summit organized by the seven-nation bloc in Djibouti. Meskel said the country was ready to work towards peace, stability and regional integration. The East African nation had suspended its IGAD membership in 2007 following a string of disagreements, including over the bloc's decision to ask Kenya to oversee the resolution of a border dispute between Ethiopia and Eritrea. The East African country, led by President Isaias Afwerki, broke away from Ethiopia in 1993 and fought a two-year border war with its neighbor until a peace agreement in 2018.
On that note, we now get into sports news. A football administrator, Dan Katongo, has hailed the Zambian Super League chairman, Kefas Katongo, for facilitating for the independent operation of the Zambia Super League from the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ. Mr. Katongo is optimistic that the move will lead to various football clubs next season appreciating the level of professionalism which will be exhibited in the league, aside from making financial gains from the entry fees. He says the Zambian league has been lagging behind than most of the other leagues across Africa and believes that a league running independently will promote competition, professionalism and more stakeholder engagement in the game. Last week, during the 2023 MTN Super League Awards held in Kitwe, Zambian Super League chairman Kefas Katongo disclosed that next season the Super League will start operating independently from the Football Association of Zambia.
Good to the teams, number one, because the benefits now be independent, because teams will be able now to generate their own money. And they'll be able now to know what it is to go commercial, because I would call that previously it was not commercial, because you would find that at Cab Warriors they have about 200 seats for VIP. And in that, maybe you find the sales only be maybe for 20 seats. The rest, they go for free. The FAs, the delegates, and so on. But ZPL is strictly for commercial purposes. The gate takings will be very handsome to these teams. For the association, I think the burden of managing all this together with the national teams will be reduced, because it will have its own independent. And we know Kefas Katongo is very competent, that he is able to manage that together with the CEO, Joseph Chipampo, who is also been very competent and he's been doing extremely well. So we'll have no reasons why the ZPL should not be introduced. And this is a very good timing because we have seen how our colleagues have really advanced with the Zambian, with their Premier Leagues. Let's take the example of the English Premier League. It is no longer being managed by the FA. The FA just manages the FA Cup and other things, but the rest, it's the English Premier League that manages all the teams, and you see that league highly competitive, and it will also be able to bring the more of companies to sponsor, because currently we have MTN Super League because they fall under the motherboard, which is the Association of Zambia. So when you are independent, you are talking about bringing in more sponsors to sponsor because they will not be restricted.
On that note, we come to the end of our menus, but before we go, another look at the stories that made the headlines. Former PF boss pleads not guilty to being in possession of proceeds of crime. Public Health Institute in control of reported COVID-19 cases in Zambia. The Examinations Council of Zambia warns pupils against exam malpractices. In international news, Cameroon's main opposition leader, John Ndi, dies aged 81. And in sports news, the Football Association of Zambia first move to run the Super League independently held. Now we look at the Camnet verse of the day coming from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 13, which says, "Be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong." That's it. That's all we had for the news at 19. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin at 22 hours this evening. On behalf of the entire news team, have a productive night.